Folks, it's J.W.Haynes, and we're going to talk today about, of course, what everybody's talking about, all these protests that are going on. I've been calling them protests. I called them protests 2 days, and now they're becoming riots. I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of what's probably going to happen from the real perspective here. You've got people in California that are protesting. I addressed this before in podcasts, so y'all know how I feel. Chances are they aren't United States citizens. And then, of course, you got the ones that just go in there and they tag along and jump on the bandwagon and everything else. And then they're protesting along. Well, they don't even know why. It's just something to do for the weekend or whatever. I'd like to give a scenario that I would use. It's, of course, a lot of people in the United States would consider it to be barbaric, or a lot of people would consider it to be inhumane. But it's pretty simple. I don't agree at all being a veteran. I had a veteran on the other day on a podcast, and I'm sure he wouldn't agree either on putting boots on the ground. There's a possibility of somebody getting hurt there. I would not put boots on the ground. What I would do is I would roll in as many water cannons as needed to be, and have probably 100 setting to where they can be somewhere pretty quick. And I don't know if y'all know what a water cannon is or not. It's like a huge fire truck, but it's a military vehicle, and it's got water cannons on it. Those water cannons at 100 feet, they'll blow people back 10 feet. And so you got a guy out there running a water cannon, so to speak, kind of like a 60 gunner or something, but you've got a water cannon sitting up there that he's running that water cannon, and as people get close, they just blow them back out of the way. That's one option. The other option is America's getting sick of this, and they're talking about, I've heard stuff today on Civil War and all that kind of stuff. This isn't a Civil War. Number one, the reason it isn't a civil war is because the leftists can't fight. The people, I don't know what the percentage of leftists that have guns or anything like that, or weapons or whatever you want to call it, but most of the military is probably going to be conservative. And that being the case, especially back, a little while, back years ago. And so the veterans out there nowadays are, I'm going to say, mostly conservative. And they're realists. And so that being the case, we don't want to see boots on the ground. But, they're talking Civil War and stuff. I don't understand who the Civil War is going to be between. I think before we have the Civil War, I think we'll take Mexico. And I have addressed that in another podcast. But when I say taking Mexico, I mean, why not knock out half of Mexico, north of Mexico City, and go in, take it out, eliminate the cartel, eliminate it. Put a 5-mile buffer down there, kind of like the Gaza Strip, but no one lives there. You run nothing but drones over the top of it, and you have signs, and trust me, the word gets out, people, real quick. You have signs and stuff that says, do not enter the no walk zone. The no walk, there is to be no people. It's a desolate 5-mile that goes all the way across our border, our new border in Mexico. When the drones are flying, if there's a person out there that's not supposed to, they're not supposed to be there. So I'm not going to say that. So if there's a person out there and they're not supposed to be there, they get zapped. I'm a realist, and I'm going to say this, old farmers, a lot of farmers still do it. If you got a coyote problem with regards to your cattle and this and that and other, you kill the coyote and you hang him on the fence. The coyotes, they kind of quit coming for a while. And it's kind of the same thing. I hate to say don't bury someone or somebody, but you just leave them laying. And your good people that are wanting to come to the United States from Mexico or wherever it may be through Mexico, they are going to come the proper way because they don't want to get killed on the 5-mile stretch. And that 5-mile stretch would be it'd be 5 miles deep all the way across the new American border of Mexico. That being the case, you're not going to have the problem that we have now. Plus, the people in northern Mexico can have a chance at a new life instead of dealing with cartel all the time. The cartel, they're terrorists, and it's time to do something with them. That's what I would suggest is making the making a border down there, including that, cleaning it all up real well, and then turning around and going in and making it a 51st state. Now then, we're going to go to something else. I want to talk about the riots that are going on in LA and the riots that they're supposedly going to do in Chicago and New York City and all this kind of stuff. Okay? It's pretty simple. And, if you don't like President Trump, you're damn sure not going to like me. And the reason I say that is because outside of each one of those, if they're going to have a protest this weekend or whenever it may be, I would have 20 cargo planes at the airport ready to go, okay? Sitting on a tarmac, C-130s, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. They don't have to have passenger seats. And what I would do is I would turn around and load up bus after bus after bus after bus after bus of protesters. And immediately, as soon as and take them to the plane at the airport, put them on the plane. I don't care. You can load them in there like cattle. They're not going to be in there for longer than 3 or 4 hours to go all the way to, not El Salvador. I'd send them as far down south as you could go in South America, drop them off the plane, tell them, if you want to come back, it's a long walk. Come back, land right there in the same airport, pick up another load. And when I say that, these people are over here, and we have to take our country back without putting boots on the ground. And when I say that, we're putting boots on the ground in regards to ICE, okay? The guys that are out there working for ICE, thank you. I just want to say thank you. And, you're putting your life in danger every day because these are some desperate criminals. And especially when they have gotten to a place that is the United States and they come from a third world country, they sure don't want to leave. That's for sure. And so, it's one of those things that let's load them up. Don't care if it's protesters. I don't care who it is. If you're going to go out there and riot, have the plane sitting at LA International Airport. Grab them up. We don't have to probably invest in handcuffs. Handcuff them, put them on a bus, take them, put them on the airplane. And when I say that, and you can probably get somewhere around 500 to 1,000 people easy on a military aircraft standing, because they can make it standing. If they can be out there riding, they have the ability to stand for 2.5, 3 hours for the flight to South America. Now then, once enough planes take off and this gets out there, they'll quit, people. Goodness gracious. I mean, America has become the stupidest, most forgiving, very rarely am I speechless. I am speechless in regards to where America's at right now. It beats all I ever seen. Load these people up on the planes immediately. Get them out of here. Guess what? Newsom and any leftist out there that doesn't believe what I'm saying, you can get on the plane too. Real simple. Get on the plane, go. Because you know why? Because are you going to stand up and protect the United States? You're protesting against the United States. Now you're rioting against the United States. And so what's the chance of you protecting the United States? What are you going to protect anyway? You're sitting here telling me, and I'm seeing it on other podcasts and stuff about all these riots. Well, if you're out there rioting, you don't deserve to be here. And not only that, guess what you are that President Trump hasn't called you out on yet? You're probably 99% a cost to this country, and I'm going to say it, you're probably living off of the government that the American people pay taxes on. So you're getting a check from the government some way, somehow, whether it be SNAP or no matter what it be, you're getting something from the United States. And you're out there protesting, and you're out there rioting now. It doesn't make a bit of sense to me. I'm a common sense guy. Load the planes at LA International, I know we're going to get all kinds of people saying, you can't do this, this is wrong, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Let me ask you a question. On the East Coast, let's take a city, New York City, better yet, let's just take DC, East Coast. Okay? If a riot starts in Washington, D.C., and they start rioting to a huge amount, when I say that, it's a worst case scenario that we wouldn't really want to go there, but people are being killed, people are being, it's rioting, it's just an awful thing. Well, let me ask you a question. When you get ready to leave there, let's say that you're scared for your life, and you get into your vehicle, everybody else is in the same position, except for the politicians. They went and got on their planes and they left. Guys, you hear me? They went and got on their airplanes and they left. So this is the average person that owns a vehicle or has to figure out a way to get out of Washington, D.C., or wherever it may be on the East Coast that's a highly populated area. How are you going to get out? Well, the aircraft lines would be so long that you couldn't get there. Number one, the airlines probably wouldn't be flying anyway. And so your main way of getting out of a major metropolitan area is going to be by vehicle. Well, if you've got an electric car, the electric car will take you 300 or 400 miles. And guess what? That's as far as you're going to get. Because when you get 300 or 400 miles, when the first guy has found the electric charger, he'll be charging to where he can go on. Now, an hour or 2 or 3 later, you've got a line that's 5 miles long waiting to charge their car. Now, if you've got a gas car, everybody's saying, yeah, that's why I don't want electric. If you've got a gasoline or a diesel car, whatever you'll call it, what are you going to do there? Well, let's say that you've got a half a tank of fuel. Do you drive around the metropolitan area that's being destroyed, or do you get out of town? Well, you get out of town, you got a half tank gas, full tank gas. It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You're going to get as far as that one tank, however much you have in your car, will take you. Now, that being the case, you better take the back roads because all the interstates are going to be completely full, and that's where a lot of rioting stuff will go on. Also, it's on the interstates where everybody's just sitting parked. And so if you can figure out how to take the back roads to get out of there, by the time that you get 300, 400, 500 miles, however far as your gas tank will take you, you're probably not going, unless you're the first one there, you're going to be in a position to where you're going to go, wow, where we get gas? Everywhere you look, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. Not only that, after 9/11, I was an executive in executive management. After 9/11, I saw price gouging within an hour. And when I say that, I had an employee come and tell me that the gas had gone from, it seemed like it was like $1.09 a gallon, and down the street, one station had upped it to $3.50 a gallon. All right. And so that being the case, you got to pay high dollar for it, but at least you got it. So how are you going to get your gas to go on further to get out of danger's way? Because even if you get as far as 300 or 400 miles, when you get somewhere, everybody that left is going to be there. And so then if you've got some rioters that are coming out, what are you going to get there? You're going to be stopped again. Just like the people that are stopped and running out of fuel and battery on the interstates getting out of there. And so people, wake up. Let's wake up as a country. And we have to deport some of these people, send them all the way to the tip of South America to where they've got a mighty long walk back. They won't do it. And so the Mexican border's already closed. And that being the case, I don't know how many are coming across a day, but, if we put in, and we'll go into that a whole different day. It's one of those things that has got me going here. But, these riots, going back to them, these riots are ridiculous. I'll give you an exact example. I remember seeing what was going on in a small town, or it wasn't a small town, it was a town of over 100,000 people in the South. Well, they started rioting back in the late 70s. Well, what the police department did was the police department, fire department just sealed off the whole thing and said, let y'all burn it. And they did. They burned it. The insurance didn't pay or anything else. And so they learned a lesson. Haven't done it since. Now then, and that is a fact. Now then, I hate to put good American people in harm's way to get rid of these people. But water cannons, knock them down. As soon as they're knocked down, cut them, turn around, put them on the bus, put them on the plane, send them all the way to South America. It won't take but about a day of that, and they'll quit coming. They'll quit rioting. It's kind of like when they used to hang people as it was a hanging if you murdered someone or something. You hung. 100 years ago, and they would hang them not only because it was the law and it was making it made a huge example for the people to observe the law, respect the law. Okay. Now then, our Constitution, which I've got a book on here that I read quite often, our Constitution is over 250 years old. And that being the case, or it's right at 250, that being the case, don't you think some things have changed? We were all about letting people come to America on ships and everything else back in the past when we established America. The early Americans made America. We've all made America up to about the last 40, 50 years. And Americans were pretty much Americans. Nowadays, you've got rioting, you've got all these protesters, you've got all this stuff going on that people wouldn't have really thought of. You had the Vietnam protests and stuff, that's fine. Those were American citizens. Now then, let's wake up. Newsom, if you don't like it, get on a plane with them. It's pretty simple. I'm sure everybody would say, oh, you can't hit people with a water cannon. It's going to hurt them. Well, if it slides them across the concrete, asphalt or whatever for 5 feet, 20 feet, whatever it may be, and it gets them to an agent to where they put cuffs on them and put them on a bus and put them on a plane and send them to South America, job done. These people will quit. And it's time for us, as the American people, to make them quit. As far as the Civil War goes, leftists, liberals, there's one reason you have your freedom, and it's mainly because of conservatives. Yes, I said it. So, Mr. Newsom, do you have the ability to protect yourself? When I say that, no protection at all from as being governor or anything else. Let's just say you're treated like a citizen. And let's say 10 rioters came after you and they decided to beat you up for no reason at all. All right? Would you defend yourself? No. I can answer that one for you. Would you defend yourself? No, you'd probably cry. Probably sit there and cry and ask for help from somebody. But guess what? Your other liberals, they're running. They're not going to stand up. So there's not going to be a civil war. What's a civil war going to be about? It's real simple. Your conservatives, your red states, if there was a civil war, it would last about as long as Iraq war lasted. And the liberals know that. But all they want to do is just push and push and push and push and push the United States people that have some common sense. And so that being the case, what do we do? This is the moment, people. Make your decision right now. Do you do something about the rioting? Do you support the president? Decide which stance, to take your stance and decide where you stand. Once you decide where you stand, then take it and make it your priority. Get a hold of your people. Thank you. By the way, thank you, LA Police. Thank you, Highway Patrol. Thank you, National Guard. And I want to say a special thank you to the Marines from Pendleton, because that's where they're coming from. Pendleton's right there, Camp Pendleton. And so, it's one of those things that we need to stand up and make good decisions right now. And whether or not, everybody may think that the United States is divided right now, but it will not be divided if the left needs the right. Because I'll tell you one thing. I've said some things about Newsom. Newsom, if I'm in California and you were just a man on the street that I didn't know, and I see 2 rioters that are beating you up and may kill you, I would step in. Given the fact that I think you're an idiot, that's just my opinion. You are an American. I'd stand up for you. I'd do what I need to do to take them out. and I'd grab a hold of you and I'd take you to safety, or I'd die trying. And so that's kind of the way I'm going to end this. Be a smart America, and let's get this done. This has become we're getting to a point to where we've got way too many illegals in this country. And I'm not just talking about Mexicans, I'm talking about the people that have come in from all these countries, and with the mental illnesses, with the murderers, all these convicts that have come into the United States, they're here now. And so it's going to be tough to get rid of them. I just wanted to kind of add that. But thank you again, ICE agents. Thank you again, anyone that's working out there to displace these people to a point to where they will not come back. You don't need to put them in prison. All you got to do is take them all the way to the southern tip of South America. That's where they came from. So send them all the way down there and let them start walking again. And they're not going to make that walk because they don't want to make that flight. And that'd be a mighty long walk again, especially knowing that the border's closed. And so basically that's what I wanted to go over today. I'm J.W. Haynes. God bless America, and God bless John Wayne.